Good morning, everyone. Hopefully, everyone's having a good day. I asked recently, is Forza dying? Because content is drying up, nothing different seems to be happening, and lead developers have all left to start their new gaming company. And oh boy, what a difference a day makes. Last night, looking around my news feeds, and it turns out things are not so good in the Microsofty world. And Microsoft have announced 10,000 job cuts in March. It was announced yesterday. Which was Wednesday the 18th of January. All cuts are expected to happen in March. Amazon have cut 16,000 jobs as well, so Microsoft are definitely not alone in that. Facebook and other businesses have been cutting them over the last few months as well, because the economy around the world is not as strong as it used to be. And having a quick look through this Guardian article, everything I talk about today will be linked in the description of this video, and definitely going worth a read on a lot of it. So Microsoft Chief Executive Satya Nadella said in a blog post, which I'm going to have to find a link for, that customers had increased their digital spend when McAfee hit. You can't say that word on the tubes, you know. So when McAfee hit in 2021, but are now scaling back because the economies are difficult and people are struggling. We are now seeing them optimize their digital spend to do more with less, which I think is true, because everybody's struggling right now. And where does this affect the gamers? Right, game studios will lose staff, particularly as the studios are being bought up with all the staff intact. So obviously Microsoft are going to be coming in, looking at and saying, we don't need you, we don't need you, we don't need you. We're going to cut our workforce down on the studios. I did mention quite jokingly in one of my Forza videos that some of the challenges were a bit of a pain, and I said, well, the devs definitely hate me, assuming that there are any left. And that was recorded ahead of this layoff announcement by Microsoft. I know. Clairvoyance is not one of my skills, but I've been in large businesses long enough to see what happens when change is coming. And usually a good indicator of negative change is senior managers, senior people, either leaving the business or taking up roles in other business units. And when I saw this about Mike Brown, this is a guy with a big smiley happy face of Forza, well, formerly Forza, and he's the creative director, the guy in charge, the one who supposedly makes all the decisions. More on that in a bit. But he's left and he's taken quite a few of the top team with him. So he's started his own game studio called Maverick Games, an independent AAA studio, which I'm definitely looking forward to seeing what these guys come out with, because the developers that have moved over from Forza are people which a lot of people who watch the streams will recognise. It is people like Mike Brown. It is people like Tom Butcher. It is people like Gareth Harwood and even Ben Penrose, who people who've been in the franchise a while will recognise as the former art director. And these are key people. These are definitely key people, and they've moved over. So there is more to this though, because they've started a company called Maverick Games, and their mission statement is, we are a developer first video game studio, an environment where talented individuals are nurtured, inspired and flourish. So take risks, be curious, be creative, be bold, be innovative, be you. And that's actually, not only is that a really cool mission statement, but actually a sign of what they've come from. They've started a studio, and this is their mission statement, this is their goal, this is what they want. And they've obviously done this because they weren't getting any of this stuff where they were at Playground Games. Playground Games was the antithesis of this. I think there was definitely a rut at Playground Games which was causing the developers to become disillusioned and want to go and seek to do something better with their ideas. And I'm going to cut over here to Games Industry Biz. It is linked off Maverick Games, but I'll put all this stuff in. Well, the tagline there, we are going to build a team where we really encourage them to take creative risks. Again, this is interesting because I can say there's the writing on the wall. You can see things are going to change, things are not going to go well in Microsoft, so you get out before you're kicked out, right? It doesn't seem to be the case here. I'm going to scroll down here. This article is really good. I will link this, and I recommend everyone go in and read this because this is really good. There's some really good stuff from Mike Brown here. He says, we shipped Forza Horizon 5, which was a thrill to work on. As much as I had an amazing journey at Playground, I was asked myself, what's next? Do I stick with this fun, good job, or do I look for other opportunities? Okay. And the most telling quote here is, games are made in a very certain way that brings with it real security. We know that if we do things in a row, we will hit the date and the game will come out. I think there are other ways where you can still hit the day but also do a load of new things on the way. It is a truism that you can be creative or you can be cautious, but you can't be both. You either decide to mitigate risks, which limits creativity, or you can embrace the risks, which releases creativity. We're going to build a team where we can really encourage them to take creative risks, to try new things, and really celebrate that as a part of our culture. That is very telling because obviously you're coming into a studio saying this is what we're going to do. This is something which they wanted to do at Playground but were stopped from doing so, probably by the higher-ups at Microsoft. Because a lot of the complaints I've seen about Forza Horizon 5 is that it's a cookie cutter game. It's the same as 4, but you've just put a new map in, you've moved it to Mexico. And this seems to echo those criticisms. You can do something risky, you can do something creative, you can go and do something which pushes what people expect. Or you could just keep releasing the same thing over and over and over again because it's a proven formula and it works. And I think this is definitely where this decision's come from, and definitely a bad sign when it comes to the Xbox gaming division, because if this is going on in Playground Games, it's going on with the Bethesda titles, it's going on with the Halo titles, it'll be going on with the Activision Blizzard titles when they eventually do come over. You're essentially stifling creativity and just making cookie cutter games, just going boom, 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 and people are getting bored of them. Maybe Game Pass is kind of responsible for this because it's kind of throwaway in a way. The games on Game Pass are there. You pay your sub, you play the games, you don't kind of really have to invest too much into it because you haven't just dropped £80 on the game. And as such, the developers and studios are being pushed just to create quantity over quality. This is why I do believe that Forza Horizon has lacked when it comes to the updates. There hasn't been a lot of variation. Rewards are not worth the effort most of the time. And then you've got pretty much anti-player changes, such as nerfing the wheel spins. So you basically just get rubbish out of them and then taking out wheel spins and other rewards from most of the cars. It does seem to be a corporate release structure. It's not about developers, it's not about creativity, it's about going, right, we found something that works, that people like, this franchise has got a good brand name, let's go and milk it. That seems what they're doing, and I don't blame any of the developers for getting out and going and doing what they want to do, the ideas that they've got, and I definitely look forward to that. Because when it comes to gaming, things have stagnated, and this quote at the bottom is a good, and I definitely recommend everyone come in and read this article. It's about being rebellious. It's about changing the way things are. Everything that we stood for while in our previous places, I do want to change the industry. I want to change it for better. It's about finding better leaders for the industry and not tolerating practices which have been on past and inspiring those around us. People will come and go. If they come and do brilliant things with us and go on to something bigger and better, they go with our blessing. If they go on with these best practices, that's going to make the industry better. So definitely the reason why these devs have left Playground Games, a Microsoft studio, and started an independent studio is because of the working practices, because of the ideas, because of the culture, because just the fact that nobody was kind of doing anything different and people weren't being pushed to do things differently. People were being told just to keep repeating the same thing over and over again. And definitely that's where boredom steps in, and I don't blame them for setting up their own studio. Times are not good in the world of Microsoft. It isn't. Microsoft are not a great company anyway. They haven't been a great company probably ever. But certainly disruption is going to happen. There is going to be a lot of problems, and we shall see what happens. But at the moment, my thoughts are definitely with all these Microsoft staff who pretty much lost their jobs by memo, which is a pretty bad way of doing it. That's a pretty scummy way of doing it. And certainly with the developers and with other staff who want to branch out, go and do their own thing and don't repeat the mistakes of Microsoft. So it's a bit of a ramble on because I tend to do that a lot. But hopefully things won't be as bad as I suspect. But unfortunately, it does seem that big changes coming and not always for the best. So until next time, thank you for watching. Take it easy and have a great day.